Repo man Jose Rodriguez checks up on his tow truck several times a day. It's been sitting idle on Richmond Terrace for nearly 2 weeks. Immobilized after cops put an orange boot on it, the NYPD could not explain to New York One why Rodriguez has not been allowed to reclaim his vehicle.
Before mainstream media destroys everything, gives away the story, let's do one thing. Cue the music! What's going on, guys? It's Early Product News. That right there is the Denver boot. At least 3 of them are the Denver boot. The 4th one is the barnacle. That's the car. You didn't pay any of your tickets. You owe us money, so we're going to slap something on your car so it can't move. Device. Now, I live in Chicago, and I've witnessed dozens of people take the boot off in literally 30 seconds. So the barnacle is here to replace it. Does anybody think that's a safe idea? Put a big yellow mousetrap over the front windshield. All you're going to have is a bunch of people riding around with their head out the window like Ace Ventura. Does this seem like a safe option to anybody? Anyways, real quick side note. The first time the Denver boot was used was, you guessed it, by the Albuquerque Police Department in 1954. I'm kidding. It was the Denver Police Department. They made $18,000 that month. If you converted that to money today, it would come out to $170,000. And that's why the Denver boot is still around, because it makes money. There's a boot on that truck right there, and that's where our story begins. See, that's a tow truck. And the driver of that tow truck is one Jose Martinez. Now, Mr. Martinez was working in the Staten Island borough of New York. He was collecting a Nissan Maxima. Could have went with the Ultimate and been financially responsible. But you only live once. Even though the man who owns, I guess now owned, that car made 6 figures. You see, because he worked in that brown building up there on the top of the left. You know what that building is? Why, it's the 120th Precinct, New York City, borough, Staten Island. And when the Blue Brothers saw this other Blue Brothers car being towed, well, they kicked into action real quick. Voltron, transform, I don't know what they used to say. I was 6 when I watched it. Old Smitty and Bukowski were out there. Mostly because they sit at a desk all day. They're glorified secretaries. Shays and Muhammad showed up ready to defend the honor of that Nissan Maxima that hasn't been paid in 3 months. Winslow and DeFazio actually came out of the 120th screaming, "Stop resisting." The ruckus was so loud, apparently, that Commander Hippenswitch from the neighboring 122nd Precinct came over to see what was going on. Anyways, let's get back to the actual story. Here's one of the culprits right here in the cabin of the tow truck, taking one of the cameras down from inside the truck. It takes a picture of the person and it uploads it to a cloud. So they were able to get this, but they took several other cameras, a GoPro, which when it was returned, it didn't have the memory card in it, which would have showed the whole situation. Plus, they took an iPad that hasn't been returned and a couple other cameras. So, as you saw before, there's a boot on Jose's tow truck. He can't work. They took a GoPro minus the memory card. When they returned it, they still have a iPad and a couple other cameras. And like I said before, they gave back the GoPro minus the memory card that was in it. Let's listen to the news report and see what they have to say.
NYPD could not explain to New York One why Rodriguez has not been allowed to reclaim his vehicle. When he was released from jail, police dropped the felony charge against Rodriguez, but slapped him with misdemeanor charges for falsifying documents and possession of police scanners, allegations he denies. And Rodriguez says police still have the phone, laptop, iPad, and cameras they confiscated from him, as well as his truck.
It's very frustrating.
May 30th, the company, Finest Towing, was alerted that a bank wanted this car on Richmond Terrace for repossession. Rodriguez hooked it up for a tow and abruptly found out the driver is a detective at the 120th Precinct across the street. Rodriguez's manager, Caroline DeStefano, had just authorized the tow.
He called me right back, and he didn't speak. I just heard him say, I didn't see a plaque in the window. He hung up. I knew it had to be a cop's call because I heard him say a plaque. So then he was surrounded by a couple of off-duty cops, and then they called over other cops, and he got arrested for having a stolen car when we had a repossession order for it.
The detective allegedly offered to pay Rodriguez for the 3 missed car payments, but Finest Towing says it's illegal for it to collect debt. Only the bank can do that, and only the bank can authorize a car to be released. But allegedly, police took the car off the tow truck themselves and put Rodriguez in jail for about a day. Officers confiscated the truck's cameras, but this photo of an officer dismantling a recording device was automatically uploaded to a storage cloud.
Rodriguez says when he was first arrested, he was charged with a felony for possession of stolen property. Those charges were changed to misdemeanors.
The Staten Island district attorney charges Rodriguez's truck did not display its license plate properly, and he did not have a New York City towing license. The city's Department of Consumer Affairs says drivers who pick up tows are required to have a Department of Consumer Affairs license, but Finest Towing and several others we spoke with argue it depends on the tow. You don't need a DCA license for repossession jobs because those are considered private, unlike for hire tows, such as when a car is disabled or in an accident. Asked about the incident,
I haven't seen the details, but if it is that kind of thing, that's unacceptable, and there would be huge consequences for those cops.
3 months later, the charges were dropped against Mr. Martinez, and he's filed a claim against NYPD. They're doing an internal investigation, so you know how that goes. As far as the information that is out there to the public, like I said, it's going to be a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy. The mayor got on, and he said, I'll leave a link for the article in the description. And that's that. Rodriguez says a GoPro camera he was wearing at the time of his arrest should have recorded the entire incident, but it was taken by police, and when he got it back, there was no footage. The repo man says they opened it up and they just erased it. Rodriguez says he already filed a notice of claim against the NYPD and 2 officers involved in the incident. Meanwhile, the NYPD says its Internal Affairs Bureau is still investigating to find out what exactly happened. That means we'll never know an ending. We'll never know the punishment. Internal Affairs will take it and it'll get off the public's mind, and we'll never figure it out. To leave on a brighter note, I hope you and your family enjoy this weekend. I hope you have beautiful weather where you're at. Opening weekend for football. I hope your team wins. Other than that, good night.